Boom. Y'all could not hear me. Good evening. Y'all couldn't even hear me. I didn't think so. Good evening, and welcome back to Trial Watch with Demetra. You guys are just now officially entering the Lit Lane jury box. After a couple of days break, we are back. And guess y'all should be able to hear me now, right? Y'all should be able to hear me now. Hello, Lady T. Hey, Winter. Hey, Miss Sassy Francis. Hey, Tweety. Winter, POP, hold me down. Give me a sound check. Let me know y'all can hear me. Y'all should be able to hear me now. Let me see. Let me go on YouTube real fast. My chat not moving. Hold on, let's see. My channel. Oh, okay. I see. Okay, you good now. I see it. All right, you guys. We are back. Okay. And let me refresh my chat right here because it's not moving. And it was moved. Oh, uh-oh. Boom. That should fix that. Bam. Now I see somebody just came in. So I see something about protection. Okay, Winter say she enjoyed protection on full effect on this one. No. So y'all, the case picked back up. The trial picked back up for Quinton NIXON. Okay? Y'all remember that's the one we got really involved in with Quinton NIXON. State of Ohio versus Quinton NIXON. And he had went to... Oh, let me move this. He had went to trial for murdering that woman, unaliving that lady. Hold on. And remember, he is the one that's going pro se defending himself, right? Dang, y'all, I haven't been on this software in a half a second, and that's all it takes. Boom, there we go, right? And so, hey, Jill. So, with this trial, it went on a month-long break. And they were saying it was because of evidentiary issues. That's literally what it said. You know, the trial has been halted. It will resume November 5th due to evidentiary issues. That's it. Didn't say nothing else. Hey, Renee rock up in there eating a rib bone. Hey, Jill. Yep. And so it just, boom, just stopped all of a sudden. He was on the stand he was on the stand. It was the defense turn to present their case. The defense is him, right? He the one on trial. He also is his own attorney. So the last thing we saw, he was on the stand giving his narrative, testifying, because he didn't have an attorney to ask him questions. And if y'all recall, he had got all up on the ground, showing how he had shot the gun. Then talking about he could have fired a few more times. It was at that moment, the Lit Lane jury box, if anybody held out hope for him, if anybody was feeling like, okay, maybe he got a point, maybe he got a case, when he got to demonstrating on that floor, okay, we was like, brother, that was a bad move and a wrap. Okay, did I say hey, Tweety? I'm pretty sure I did. And so now tonight, when it picked back up, it's picking back up with his cross-examination from the state. Okay, and so a verdict is in. I have not seen the verdict. If you saw the verdict came in today. I didn't watch because I wanted to watch it with you guys. Don't tell me. No spoilers. Okay, no spoilers. Now let me get ready to pull this up, and then after we finish him, we're gonna do the cross-examination of tonight. We're gonna do the cross-examination of Daniel Youngblood in our other trial. Okay. I just want to make sure, and I really need to talk to y'all and get y'all opinion on something, but I'll just wait, on that. Because I got a different kind of idea, because we'll talk about it. Yes, please don't say what happened with this case. Now let me pull it up. One moment. And Renee, I saw you ask me in the comments, was I coming on? I said, yeah, and I started trying to set it up, and all I did was get it pulled up. Y'all, I'll be so excited when my little coffee mugs get here. My Lit Lane coffee mugs are on the way. So I'll be able to show you guys my coffee mugs and try to see if y'all want to support and get some. But let me get mine first so I can show y'all. Here we go. Alright, I'm gonna pull it up. I hope y'all had a good day today. Hey, what's up, J-Dub? Welcome to the Lit Lane Jury Box. Welcome to the Lit Lane Jury Box. I hope everybody had a really good day. Today was so much better than yesterday. So you gotta just take it as they come and be grateful. Excuse me. Ooh. And then it was like an eventful day for me here on YouTube, right? I'm pulling this up. It's starting the media player. Hold on. So, while this is pulling up, let me run something by y'all, right? So, y'all know with the trial watch deal, I think I can do one or two things, right? I can cover small trials that's not national, right? And that way, if I fall behind, it's not like it's national and y'all getting spoiler alerts and stuff like that. I can do that, and they be kind of good. I'm watching one right now. I'll tell y'all about later. Hey, Lady Steph, I can go and do trial watches on trials that's already over that I know are really good trials to watch with you guys, because I know already they jam packed and they good trials to watch. Or with the current trials, it feel like the ones that's going day for day, I get so far behind, right? And I was thinking to myself, okay, you get really far behind with that, and I think the way I set it up, the premise of this show, I don't do just the highlights, right? So let me think it out. Hold on.
Early October.
Okay, it's pulling up.
Cross-examination again began. The bench trial was abruptly put on hold for a month.
Okay, so we'll get back to that. Maybe I should do a poll or something.
It's time for cross.
Okay, cross-examination, Quinton Nixon.
Good afternoon.
I am going
That's
to
the
ask
state.
you some questions. If you do not understand any question I ask, please stop me.
Let me make it a little bit bigger, y'all.
And I'll repeat it.
Yes, ma'am.
If you answer,
I feel like I ain't seen her in a long time, huh?
And you're answering the question asked.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So, bottom line, you're the one who shot Tony Westover, correct?
Tony
Yes,
Westover.
ma'am.
Oh, I can't even remember the name.
And you
anymore.
shot Tony with her own gun, correct?
Yes, ma'am. I
Okay.
didn't know it was her gun at the time, though.
Look, it's how different.
Okay. After shooting Tony, you fled the scene. You left the scene, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And everyone fled the scene, correct?
Now that I know, yes.
And you heard their testimony that they either had warrants or was on parole or things of that nature, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
At that time, did you have a warrant?
I believe I had a capious warrant.
Okay. Is that the reason you left?
No.
Speak into the microphone, just because, you talk very softly, and I want to be able to hear your answer.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
No, that's not the reason I left.
Okay. When you left, you had the gun with you, isn't that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
When you left, you took Tony's purse when you jumped over the balcony, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Remember, we saw that footage.
And you took that gun because you knew that was the gun that just shot Tony Westover, correct?
No, I took that gun because there was another gun on scene.
Right. And that gun on scene was the one Adam or Brian had, correct?
Yes, and I was in fear of them using it on me.
Okay, but you left right after them. Like you literally were following them out.
Ron was still in the home, and he was the one that hit me with the machete. And Angel also told me to get out.
Oh, now Angel told you to get out?
Yeah. It's just,
Okay, I'm just asking because you didn't testify to that at first. So now she's telling you to get out.
She told me I was the devil and I needed to leave.
Okay. And you said Ron hit you with the machete. You had a gun, though, correct? He had a machete, you had a gun.
Yeah.
Okay. You took that purse, too. That wasn't to protect you, correct?
No, ma'am.
You took that gun because you had touched a vape pen in there?
No, I had took the purse to find my phone as well as I touched the vape pen.
Because you told the officers that you touched it during your interview. You touched the vape pen.
The vape pen, yes,
and
ma'am.
your fingerprints may be on that vape pen.
Yes, ma'am. I panicked.
So you were trying to cover.
I wonder if because he going pro se, can he object to her line of questioning, right? Excuse me, y'all. Because he don't have an attorney to object for him. Like right now, I would be like, objection. Why? Argumentative. You know what I'm saying? Because she basically almost like arguing with him, right? So I wonder, can he, because he is his own lawyer, can he object to her while she cross-examining him? You know, just wondering. Let's continue.
Up even you even being there, correct?
I mean, that's what it looked like, yeah, so I can...
Adam.
Hey, Miss Step 219, we double stepping in the house. Double stepping in
He
the
was one of the
house.
people in the house that had a gun, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
We back
During
on
that
Quentin,
day,
Steph.
He attacked you. I think you said he pistol whipped you on the floor with the gun.
In between me fighting with Brian.
Okay. And Brian, I was getting to that. Brian had a gun that day, correct?
Yes.
And he was fighting with you that day, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. In that living room, Tony was the only female, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Tony did not argue with you, correct?
No.
Tony did not fight with you, correct? Okay. And Tony did not have a weapon, correct?
No, the gun was on Brian.
Yes, she's the only one that you shot multiple times, is that correct?
When she lunged for the gun in the middle of me being attacked.
Okay. She's the only one that you shot multiple times that day, correct?
Yes, ma'am, 3 times.
Okay. You could have left that apartment at any time, isn't that correct?
That sounds crazy with him just saying it like that.
Prior to the incident, yes.
Okay. Now, when you were interviewed by the detectives, you stated multiple times, 21 minutes, 18 seconds. I was there for like 4 to 5 days. I felt like I could not leave. You even texted your mom to make sure you were safe. 22 minutes, 58 seconds. I felt I could not leave. I tried to leave. That is not true. Isn't that correct?
Let's not
Well, it's
forget
not true.
he was smoking the
Did I
methamphetamines.
text my mom? I text my mom.
No. I was there for like 4 or 5 days. I felt I could not leave. I felt I could not leave. You said that multiple times throughout. I tried to leave throughout that 4 to 5 day period.
When I spoke to the detectives?
Correct. That's what you said, correct?
Yeah, I said that after getting beat by the police. I was scared.
I'm going to break this down. You told the detectives in your interview you were at that house 4 to 5 days.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
you felt like you could not leave. Is that correct? I can play it for you.
I think I kind of ran it all together,
I know what you know.
but it's okay.
The question is, did you say that to law enforcement when
Yes,
you were
ma'am, I
interviewed?
did. I did.
In fact, you could leave throughout that time, couldn't you? During those 4 or 5 day periods, you absolutely were free to leave at any time you wanted to.
I had left and came back, yes.
Multiple times.
Yes.
During that interview with the police.
Now that is not me chewing. I don't know who that
So
is
we know
chewing.
you're capable of saying things that aren't true.
How?
You were there 4 or 5 days and you could leave, correct?
Yes.
Okay. You told the police you couldn't leave.
At the time of the
That's just a
incident.
yes or no? Did you tell the police that in your interview?
Yes, at the time of the incident, I couldn't leave.
The incident took 4 or 5 days?
How many times she gonna ask
No,
that
the
question?
incident didn't take 4 or 5 days. Brian wasn't there 4 or 5 days.
Okay. In your interview, let me just move to the interview first. You said in the interview that they had rolled out plastic big enough to roll me up in.
Yes.
They had enough to wrap me up in. Isn't that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You testified that there wasn't any plastic.
I testified that the poster, I thought that was plastic.
Okay. That poster was not big enough to roll you up in. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, it was.
He was on
That
drugs
poster was
tripping.
big enough for
That's
your
why
body
he said that
to
crazy
get rolled
shit.
up in.
That's why he was so
Okay.
paranoid.
Okay. You also in your interview at 25 minutes and 3 seconds said some dude came out the back with a hammer and a machete.
Yeah.
Okay. He did not come out with a hammer or a machete. Isn't that correct?
No, he came out with the machete.
Okay. What happened to the hammer?
He had it in his hand on the way out the door. When I was on my way out the door.
He had the hammer. You didn't see the picture of the hammer on the bed when you were sitting here?
Yeah, I did.
So he came at you with the hammer?
No, he came at me with the machete.
No, you said when you were on your way out the door, Ron came at you with the hammer at that time?
Ron was in his room. We all went through his room.
After it was over, Ron had left out of Angel's room and went back to his room?
Yeah, he was in his room.
Okay. And he had the
What
hammer
Ron
with him?
hate? I thought Ron was hiding in the closet.
I asked you about
In
the gun
Angel room.
earlier, and you said he had a machete. So did he have the machete and the hammer at this time?
Pardon me, you asked me about a gun?
I asked you about the gun. I said you followed them out when they jumped off the balcony. I
Okay,
said you
yeah.
went after them out the balcony, and you said, well, Ron was still in there with the machete.
Yeah.
Okay, so did he have the machete or did he have the hammer at this time?
He had the hammer when I left, but he hit me with the machete when we fought.
Wait. But that would mean Ron had to come out into the living room and hit him with the machete.
And when you
Right.
were running with that gun, you tossed it so you would not get caught with it. Is that correct?
Child.
Yes, ma'am.
At the time when you were being interviewed, you told the police it dropped. Isn't that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that's not true either.
I didn't.
You either tossed it or it dropped. You just testified you tossed it. You told the police at the time of your interview it dropped.
I got rid of the gun when I was running. Yes.
Oh Lord,
At the
this is the first
beginning
time
of
he
your
said
interview,
that.
you told the police you did not even have the gun. Isn't that correct?
Right.
Yes.
Okay. It wasn't until, and it was Detective Hornacek sitting right here, is that fair, in your
Yes.
interview? It wasn't until Detective Hornacek stated that he watched video, you changed your story in that interview, correct?
No.
Okay,
You can play it.
okay.
Why they so combative?
After he told you he watched a
Oh my God.
video, you stated you had a gun and dropped it when you were running. Isn't that correct?
No, I don't believe so.
You know what, that's fine, because now we know you didn't drop it, you tossed it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You were also asked before you realized Detective Hornacek watched the video, did you jump off with a purse? And you said,
So Lady T asked a real good question. I ain't think about it that way, right? Because I'm sitting here tripping off of I'm tripping off of her and the line, not the line of questioning because she right, but it just like her tone. It's like they took this month-long break and everybody tripping on the way coming back, right? So Lady T say, is he giving up? I don't know if he giving up or he didn't got discombobulated because he got knocked off his square because it stopped abruptly and now he can't remember what the fuck he done said. You know what I'm saying? And Miss Step 219 say she trying to trip him up. Right. But hey, that is the prosecution. They trying to get his ass in prison. He trying not to go. They trying to get him to go, send him. So hey, that's her job to trip him up. But I think it might be a case of, just like right now for me, it's only been a couple of weeks, and I remember a couple of weeks ago I could tell you every person, everything, right? We was dissecting this whole deal. Now it's been about 3 weeks since we watched it, and I had to remember some parts. So he probably sitting there trying to remember all what he said. You know, that's what it looked like. He was high as hell and as well, okay? And you got to remember, at this point in time, they also have played the interrogation up in there. You know what I'm saying? That's a lot of shit for him to have to remember, you know, a month later, and they paused the trial.
No, correct? You said you only jumped off with your jewelry and a phone, correct?
No. I said that's all I had on me at the house. I never said when he asked me about the purse, I told him that I jumped off the porch with the purse, and I went into the purse looking for the vape pen.
He had been at the house 4 or 5 days, and he worried about his fingerprints being on a vape pen.
Prior to Detective Hornacek stating he watched the video, you said you never fired the gun, correct? "29 minutes, 59 seconds. Defendant says he never fired the gun. He only had possession after he grabbed it off the table. Brian shot Tony." Do you remember saying that?
Yes.
Okay, so at that time, you knew Brian didn't shoot Tony, correct?
I was under duress, so it was kind of like, yes, I did.
And you stated you had never fired that gun, correct? And I'm not trying to trip you up. If you want to hear what you said, I'll be more than happy to play it.
Please.
Okay.
Okay, they're going to get the recording so that he could hear himself on it saying that he never fired the gun. We'll get a break, get you back into the courtroom for more of the cross-examination of Quinton Nixon right after this.
Mr. Jeffrey, tell me what happened that night.
Killed my mom.
Did you ever have possession of the gun?
I played it backwards. We're about to play it together.
Say that again. What did you say, Miss Easter?
I played them backwards.
Sure.
The one you just got there. Nope. That one. Well, she heard it. If you get the other one, I can say it. Did you hear when you said you never had possession of the gun? I'm sorry, you never fired the gun.
I don't know if you heard me. Hey, the Beef Sector Podcast. Good evening.
I said after I grabbed it off the table.
Correct.
That's all I said. The video just said that.
Did you didn't hear when you said you never fired the gun?
Speak up.
You didn't hear when you said you never fired the gun?
He said that. He asked me, did I ever fire the gun? I said,
No, you shook your head.
can you play it again?
That's fine. That we will. Okay. And then I'm going to play you the one you said you wanted to hear when you said you did not leave you were asked if you left the house with the gun. You said nothing, my jewelry and my ID. We're going to play that one next, but I'm going to ask you other questions.
Pardon me, you said I left the home with my jewelry and ID? Mm-hmm. Okay, because I thought you said I left the home with my jewelry and my phone.
Okay. Oh, I can do it.
Sounds like the judge getting a little frustrated with the tenacity of this, saying, speak up, we'll get a break, get you back in for more right after.
Oh my God. Everybody making my nerves bad. This recording making my nerves bad. They making my nerves bad. Everybody making my nerves bad. It's like that court is full of high, intense drama. And it's like, because of how they did this, it don't build up. Like, we don't get the build up to why it's so on edge. You know? And it's like frustrating me. There he go looking horrible. After they pulled him out that, what is it called? That little hole in the wall.
Nothing? You left your phone there, but you didn't leave?
Oh, no, I had my ID and stuff.
Okay.
And my jewelry.
Okay. Did you hear you said you left with your ID and stuff?
Yes,
your
ma'am.
jewelry? At
Yes,
that
ma'am.
time, you did not admit that you left with Tony Westover's purse. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. That's because I didn't leave with Tony Westover's purse.
You didn't jump off the balcony with Tony Westover's purse?
I didn't
But he
take
left it there. It was still
My
there.
I
question
left it there.
Okay.
That's why I answered that way.
Did you jump off the balcony with Tony Westover's purse?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you leave out the physical apartment with Tony Westover's purse?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And all you had was jewelry and an ID? You didn't leave with the gun? You sure?
Okay, you said you did not realize, you shook your head. Now, did you hear him say, did you leave with a gun? And did you see yourself shaking your head? No.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And that's at 35 minutes, and I was at 35 minutes, 39 seconds. And I showed you a clip where you said you did not have her purse. You only left with your ID and your phone. Remember that?
I said I only had my ID and my jewelry, not my phone. He said, you left your phone. I said, yes.
And all of that is before, you said you didn't think it was before the officer or detective talked about seeing video. At 36:19 is when they let you know there were cameras.
We're only asking you to tell the truth because, like you said, there is cameras.
Right.
And that's the reason that you're here. It's not about...
Okay, so did you hear he's letting you know there are cameras that they saw?
What
Yes,
is
and I
what
also
is
heard
her
me saying
point? That
there
he a
was
liar?
cameras. I told him there was cameras.
You had no idea at that time what cameras that he saw. Isn't that correct?
I knew there was cameras, but that's correct.
Okay, and after he said that, your story changed. That is when
No.
you,
Let her ask the question first.
Yes, ma'am.
your story changed. Isn't that correct?
No.
Okay, so you saw the time, so you understand before and after, correct?
Would you like to play it all the way through?
I'm asking you, understand what before and after is, correct?
I do know what before and after is.
Okay. After he let you saw, after he said he saw the video, you then admit to grabbing the gun. Before you said you did not have possession of the gun, correct?
No, that's not correct.
As far as Tony's gun, the girl's gun,
I didn't even know.
and that's fine. As far as her gun, when you grabbed the gun, was it in a holster? Do you remember that? Okay, so there was a holster.
Okay, did you see yourself shaking your head? Yes.
No, I didn't.
Oh, I can replay it. That's fine.
As far as Tony's gun, the girl's gun,
I didn't even know what she did.
and that's fine. As far as her gun, when you grabbed the gun, was it in a holster? Do you remember that? Okay, so there was a holster.
Did you see yourself shaking your head?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So now, after he said there's cameras, now you're grabbing the gun. So now you have possession of the gun, correct? Now you're letting them know you have possession of the gun, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, before the detective said he had video, you said you did not fire the gun, correct? If you don't remember, I can play it. You said you did not fire the gun.
I don't know. All I know is I fired the gun.
You absolutely did fire the gun.
I
That's correct.
absolutely did fire the gun. In self-defense.
You fired the gun. That is it fair to say you did not tell the detectives in that order? You
It's
were
not fair to
not
say.
forthcoming.
It's not fair to say because I was beaten and I was scared when I was giving this interview and I was deprived of medical, which she wouldn't let me testify today to.
Okay. Was SWAT in there in that interview with you?
No,
Okay.
it wasn't.
It's a question. Thank you for answering.
just
SWAT was not in there with you at that time. Through this interview, did they hit you at all?
No, they deprived me of medical.
Did they raise their voice at you at all?
Nope.
Did they give you a chance to answer the questions?
Yes, they did.
Okay. Okay.
But I wasn't all the way there. I wasn't
Physically, emotionally, mentally?
all three. All of those. I wasn't all the way there.
So at some point in time, you were not physically present in front of them?
I mean, what I mean by mentally, like, I wasn't all the way there.
You were answering their questions as asked. You may not have answered truthfully, but you were answering. Like if they asked you what today is, you didn't say blue you were answering. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and you agree.
That's how I feel, y'all. I'm like, right now, I don't know what's going on, right? She's doing her job, right? But it's like an undercurrent of almost like it's personal, right? And then for the life of me, at this point in time, riddle me this. His whole case is about the fact that I believe his whole case, what he trying to fight to say not guilty is not that he's not guilty of shooting the victim, right? But that it was an act of self-defense. So wouldn't she be going down? I would think that she'd be trying to address the self-defense part. Girl, Lady T, you spelled the whole F word out. So Lady T said, but YouTube hit it. Dang. Did they fuck on break? Did it go left? Okay. Girl, you put the whole F.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something weird. I would think she would be going down that. I don't understand why she's so much on the fact that he's a liar. We already know he lied. We know this. So
Let me ask you a question. You have a certificate that you went through OPATA, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Peace officer certificate.
How long was that training?
I believe it was 4 weeks.
Okay. And during that training, sometimes prosecutors can conduct that training and law enforcement officers, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. During your training, police officers and or law enforcement police officers and or prosecutors, did they conduct your training?
It was law enforcement.
Okay. So you had interactions with law enforcement during your training?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And after you got your certificate, did you use your certificate? Did you work in any type of place using your certificate?
Yes, ma'am. I did armed security.
Okay. So armed security, and you had to go through training probably at that place you did armed security as well, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So if something happened, you would have had to call the police, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So you know how to call the police in a situation, a stressful situation or a bad situation?
Yes, ma'am.
You were trained on how to call the police in a stressful situation or a bad situation?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And all of your interactions with police were not negative?
Not all of them.
Some taught you?
Yes, ma'am. Not all of them.
You were asked at 51 minutes and 40 seconds why.
Lady Steph says there was a pause in the case because they needed to do some more discovery. At this point, I think this lawyer is afraid she is losing this case. She is coming back with force to win. Absolutely. Because remember, I kept mentioning when it was first going on, the first part, I say, damn, it'd be messed up if the prosecutor loses this case against somebody who going pro se, right? And if the break was because, I know the break was because of evidentiary issues. If it was on the side of the prosecution, I would only imagine that they probably got they butts tore into. You know what I'm saying? Lady T says she got me thrown and I'm not even on trial. Right. It's like it's very unsettling. Right? It don't feel like it almost don't feel like a trial. It feel like I don't know. It feel like somebody trying to get to the bottom of was you cheating or was you not cheating and trying to catch you up in a lie that you told or something. It's weird. It's very, very strange. It's unsettling. Got me on edge.
Why you shaved your head and why you did not come out after police told you. You said you were scared, and you also said that some were on their payroll.
Yeah. There was a conversation that Brian had about.
Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
But to clarify about being on payroll, that was what Brian had
Hey,
said. So
Lou.
it scared me, like maybe he got ties to the police or something. I don't know. You know.
You might as well don't rewind because we was watching this trial all last month, girl, and it's a whole lot of. And they went on a break because they had an evidentiary problem, and they just came back on trial yesterday. And so tonight we watching the defendant who represented himself. He accused of unaliving a lady at this house where everybody was doing drugs and stuff for days. He admits to shooting the woman, but he said it was in self-defense. And he being cross-examination right now by the state. And it's a lot going on. A lot. Okay, Lou? So, and it's on the playlist, but this was a good trial. Except for the damn break.
I don't know what you're talking about right now. I'm sorry.
Let me rewind
You
it.
said
I talked through that. I'm sorry.
had about.
A stressful situation or a bad situation.
Yes, ma'am.
You were trained on how to call the police in a stressful situation or a bad situation.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And all of your interactions with police were not negative.
Not all of them.
Some taught you.
Yes, ma'am. Not all of them.
You were asked at 51 minutes and 40 seconds why you shaved your head and why you did not come out after police told you. You said you were scared, and you also said that some were on their payroll.
Yeah. There was a conversation that Brian had about.
Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
But to clarify about being on payroll, that was what Brian had said. So it had scared me, like maybe he got ties to the police or something. I don't know. You know.
I don't know what you're talking about right now. I'm sorry.
You said something about payroll.
Correct. You told the detective in the interview you didn't come out because you were scared. You used to have bad interactions with the police.
I've had bad.
Bit by a dog.
Yes, ma'am.
And they were on their payroll.
And what I'm telling you is, when I said about the payroll thing, I was speaking on. Brian said that he had police officers on payroll.
Oh, now.
He's clarifying his
That's all I'm clarifying. I didn't even get a chance to even explain my narrative in this video. This was right after I got beaten by the police. So.
But now you're saying Brian said he had officers on payroll.
Yes, ma'am.
And when you said you didn't get a chance to explain, they actually asked you at the end, is there anything else you want to say? Or they gave you a chance to say everything, didn't they?
They did.
Let's bring in our guest for this hour to discuss. Joining us now from Los Angeles, California.
Oh my
from
God.
Former prosecutor Marie Pereira.
And see,
Marie,
this is
thank
what
you for
happened
being
because he
on.
got knocked off of being the main trial because they took their break. Y'all know when he was showing the trial, they wasn't doing all this. They was showing, oh, this trial right here might be worth, this one right here that's on the thing, the Burn Powell murder trial. That trial might be worth watching, you guys, because it had a lot of drama, a lot of secret affairs, a lot of money, a lot of family members and who done it. Damn, they're not gonna get back to it. Oh my God. Oh my Jesus Christ.
Now coming up next here on Court TV, we're going to hear more.
Hold on. And then that's the whole clip. That's the whole one that was on Court TV. I promise y'all, when I saw it yesterday, I should have taped it while it was live. Because today, I couldn't pull up on Court TV and Law and Crime and stuff. Nobody had the whole thing. They just had the cross-examination part. But it looked like they didn't even go back to it. Oh, my God. Boy, I tell you. Hold on, let me see. But I already know because I already was looking for it. Let me see. And then I tried to find it. We was watching it on Law and Crime, and they didn't have it either. I think when they took their break, it fucked up all their scheduling or something. Let me see, Law and Crime Network. They didn't even put it on the playlist. Hold on, let's see. Boom. See, they didn't even put it on their playlist. And they was keeping a good playlist. That's where we was originally watching it at. Let me look at their lives. Live. Oh, live stream. Nope. They don't even have it, y'all. Nope. Let me look one other place. Oh, that Burn Powell murder. Oh yeah, it was interesting, and I didn't really get to really watch it because we was doing this trial. Then I started, a whole bunch of stuff. This last month was crazy with the trials. Quentin Nixon trial. For oh well, y'all. They never did come back and show nothing else with that, with his cross-examination. Nope. Nope. One moment. Which I already know. I looked all for it before I came on here, so I guess I'm just looking one more time to make absolutely certain. Nope. Yep, that's the only thing they posted yesterday.
Criminal defense.
And then they went to talking about other stores that we just saw. So it's nothing else. So that was the end of that. Hold on. Let me see.
You may not have answered truthfully, but you were answering. Like if they asked you what today is, you didn't say blue or, you.
Hold on. What's it?
And all you had was jewelry and ID.
The gun. I said.
No, you shook your head.
Okay, hold on. Hey, Room Shaker. Hey, Nessie. Hey, Sunshine Girl. Where you been? Is this guy super savvy like he got a position and sticking to it? Yeah. He's defending himself, and his story is, and he's sticking to the fact that yes, he shot the lady, but that they kind of pretty much attacked him in that house and everybody was high, and that it was self-defense. I mean, he been definitely sticking to his story. Okay, he is definitely sticking to his story, and he does consider himself quite savvy, and he think he pretty smart. You know what I'm saying? He hadn't done a terrible job defending himself, but you know what they say. The client that has himself women. The client that has women. The client that has himself as an attorney has a fool for a client or something like that. Okay, y'all, bear with me. Bear with me. I am so sorry, y'all. I have just not been able to get myself together this last couple of weeks. I ain't gonna lie. I'm trying. It's just not coming together. It just feel like I be just all over the damn place.
And we got horror
Oh my God.
movie. I mean, horror, and we got music.
I gotta get my head straight. Let me see. Okay, Court TV. Okay, hold on. Let's see. Now this is what we was playing. I'm gonna pull it up on the actual YouTube, so it might bump a little bit.
The cross still needs to. When Court TV Live.
Tonight at 8/7 Central, only on Court TV.
I don't even know why I'm seeing
expected to be
commercials.
presented. Now he's accused.
Went downward.
See, we saw it. Okay.
They heard.
Not this video. Cross-examination. Okay.
At 3619.
Let me show y'all.
Purse. You only left with your ID and your phone. Remember that?
I said I only had my ID.
Yeah, I'm all off track. Okay, I'm trying to pull it up because I'm doing something different. Okay.
You left your phone. I say yes.
Let me say share.
And all of that is before, you said you didn't think it was before the officer or detective talked about
I think I'm gonna just have to go to
video.
restream. I like this software, but it's just too much.
3619 is when they let you know there were cameras.
We're only asking you to tell the truth because, like you said, there is cameras.
That's right.
And that's the reason that you're here. It's not about.
Okay, so did you hear he's letting you know there are cameras that they saw?
Okay, share screen.
Yes, and I also heard me saying that there was cameras. I told him there was cameras.
You had no idea at that time what cameras that he saw. Isn't that correct?
There it is.
I knew there was cameras, but that's correct.
Okay, and after he said that, your story changed. That is when you,
Let her ask the question.
Yes, ma'am.
your story changed. Isn't that correct?
No.
Okay, so you saw the time, so you understand before and after, correct?
Would you like to play it all the way through?
I'm asking you, understand what before and after is, correct?
I do know what before and after is.
Okay. After he let you saw, after he said he saw the video, you then admit to grabbing the gun. Before you said you did not have possession of the gun, correct?
Okay, why y'all don't see this?
No,
y'all
that's
do.
not correct.
Okay. Oh, dang. Okay, that's what we just left off at. Thank you, girl. I gotta get myself back together where I can do my red hair. Hopefully by this summer I'll be in my natural red hair self again.
As far as Tony's gun, the girl's gun,
I didn't even know what you were doing.
and that's fine. As far as her gun, when you grab the gun.
Okay,
in a
so we
holster,
saw this part. It's gonna go up to where we was at. I'ma just leave it alone.
Okay, so there was a holster.
Okay, did you see yourself shaking your head? Yes.
No, I didn't.
Oh, I can play it, that's fine.
As far as Tony's gun, the girl's gun,
I didn't even know what you were doing.
and that's fine. As far
Oh,
as
hey, Creole
permission,
Butterfly, I didn't see you. Hey, Nessie.
when
My
you
bad.
grabbed the gun, was it in a holster? Do you remember that?
Okay, y'all, we getting back to the part we left off on. I'm
Okay,
be
so
quiet.
there was a holster.
Did you see yourself shaking your head?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So now, after he said there's cameras, now you're grabbing the gun. So now you have possession of the gun, correct? Now you're letting them know you have possession of the gun, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, before the detective said he had video, you said you did not fire the gun, correct? If you don't remember, I can play it. You said you did not fire the gun.
I don't know. All I know is I fired the gun.
You absolutely did fire the gun.
I absolutely did fire the gun. And
I'm laughing
because
at this point in time, he like, fuck
is
it.
it fair to
Just
say
send me
you
to
did not tell
myself.
the detectives in that order? You were not forthcoming.
It's not fair to say because I was beaten and I was scared when I was giving this interview, and I was deprived of medical, which she wouldn't let me testify today.
Okay. Was SWAT in there in that interview with you?
No.
Okay.
It wasn't.
It's a question. Thank you for answering. SWAT was not in there with you at that time. Through this interview, did they hit you at all?
No, they deprived me of medical.
Did they raise their voice at you at all?
Nope.
Did they give you a chance to answer the questions?
Yes, they did.
Okay. Okay.
But I wasn't all the way there. I wasn't.
Physically, emotionally, mentally?
All three. All of those. I wasn't all the way there.
So at some point in time, you were not physically present in front of them?
What I mean by mentally, like, I wasn't all the way there.
You were answering their questions as asked. You may not have answered truthfully, but you were answering. Like if they asked you what today is, you didn't say blue you were answering. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and you agree you were answering their questions?
Yeah.
Okay.
He got a good beautician. Yeah, I rewinded it trying to find it. So I just said I'll let it catch up.
That you went through OPATA, correct?
And really, I think I did all that for nothing because I think that really was it.
And or law enforcement, police officers and or prosecutors did. And you had to go through training probably at that
here we go, Lady T.
armed security as well, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So if something happened, you would have had to call the police, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
I think I did all this, and this is that was it that I
in a
showed.
stressful situation or a bad situation.
Yes, ma'am.
You were trained on how to call the police in a stressful situation or a bad situation.
Yes,
this is
ma'am.
what we left off at.
And
right
all
here.
of your interactions with police were not negative.
Not all of
Some
them.
taught you.
Yes, ma'am. Not all of them.
You were asked at 51 minutes and 40 seconds why you shaved your head and why you did not come out after police told you. You said you were scared, and you also said that some were on their payroll.
Yeah. There was a conversation that Brian had about.
Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
But to clarify about being on payroll, that was what Brian had said, so it had scared me, like maybe he got ties to the police or something. I don't know,
I don't know.
Yeah, Miss Steph too. Now I'm trying to find let it get to the part, but I'm trying to see was that it. I think we got as far as let's see.
Payroll thing. I was speaking on. Brian said that he had police officers on payroll.
Oh, now
he's clarifying his.
That's all I'm clarifying. I didn't even get a chance. They did.
Let's bring in our guest for this hour to discuss.
Now,
Joining
I
us
did
now
all
from Los
this,
Angeles.
and that's literally. Come on, enough. That's it.
Keeps the story going.
Okay. So what I had as the recording actually was it. I thought maybe I had messed up the recording or something like that, but that was it. That's all they showed, right? So let's get to the verdict. Because, child, that was wearing me out. And again, I think it's like this because of the fact that they didn't have it scheduled to be showing this trial in November. Okay? Had this trial never had the break, it would have kept flowing the way it was. You know? But let's get to the verdict. I'm going to pull it up. And I do not know the verdict. Nobody tell us the verdict. No spoilers. Please. No spoilers. Please. Okay, I'm pulling it up. Let me take this down. No, Brian is one of the guys. At that house they had, child, I got y'all all in my YouTube studio and shit. Excuse me. At the house, they was at the house and they was all smoking meth. And they was in that house. It was like everybody was at that house and wouldn't go home. A bunch of folks smoking meth. Right? And so Brian and the lady that got unalived, they had came to the house and they had brought drugs and they all was high and stuff. And then Quentin, he was the only black guy, right? And I'm just saying that because I think that does matter. Because in the midst of him being paranoid and shit, he started thinking they was setting him up to beat him up and jump him. And he ended up pulling the gun from the lady and unaliving the lady. It was like 8 people in that house. It was like 8 people in that house. Okay? And they had a lot of stuff going on. A lot of drugs. He was sleeping with the girl who owned the house. The other dude was sleeping with the girl that was in the house. It was a mess. It was a for real mess. Seriously. And he should have went his ass home. Okay? When he went home that day, he should have stayed at home. He should have never went back to the house. But he did. And he got caught up. And now, even though other people had stuff to do with it, you know what I'm saying? I feel like still, even though he did shoot the girl, I feel like part of his story is kind of true. You know, as far as like they were trying to set him up for some shit. I feel that way too. Okay, the verdict is pulling up, y'all. That's where y'all see that blue screen. Child, I got a lot going on tonight. I really do. I am so sorry. This is horrible. Absolutely horrible. Hold on.
We have breaking news out of Ohio. The verdict in the medical assistant murder trial for Quinton Nixon has come in.
This is a bench trial, so the judge is on the bench. Let's go back.
Oh, yeah, and he didn't have a jury. He decided for the judge to say his fate. No jury.
There will be no outbursts of any kind, and if there are, you will be asked to leave the court and not return until this court is done with its business. Thank you. Let me start by saying, Mr. Nixon, I'm going to commend you for your behavior throughout the trial. You were very respectful of the process and the court. That being said, I do believe you did a great and grave disservice to yourself by representing yourself.
Oh, wow.
There are many nuances and trial strategies that a seasoned attorney such as Mr. Perry would have been able to employ throughout this trial. That being said, having decided to represent yourself and waive your right to the jury trial, the responsibility falls on me to render verdicts in these cases. In the case involving the death of Tony Westover, in count 1, you are charged with murder in that the state must prove that you purposely caused the death of Tony Marie Westover with a firearm specification attached. Purpose to cause the death of Tony Marie Westover is an essential element of the crime of murder. A person acts purposely when it is his specific intention to cause a certain result. It must be established in this case that at the time in question, there was present in the mind of the defendant a specific intention to cause the death of Tony Marie Westover. Purpose is a decision of the mind. To do an act with a conscious intent to produce a specific result. To do an act purposely is to do it intentionally and not accidentally. Purpose and intent mean the same thing. The purpose with which a person does an act is known only to that person unless he expresses it to others or indicates it by his conduct. The purpose with which a person does an act or brings about a result is determined from the manner in which it is done, the means used, and all other facts and circumstances in evidence. The defendant is allowed to use deadly force in self-defense. The state must prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant, when using deadly force, did not act in self-defense. To prove that the defendant, when using deadly force, did not act in self-defense, the state must prove beyond a reasonable doubt at least one of the following. The defendant was at fault in creating the situation, giving rise to the shooting or attempted shooting of Tony Marie Westover, or the defendant did not have reasonable grounds to believe that he was in imminent danger or death or of great bodily harm, or the defendant did not have an honest belief, even if mistaken, that he was in imminent danger of death or great bodily harm, or the defendant used unreasonable force. Unreasonable force is a person is allowed to use force that is reasonably necessary under the circumstances to protect himself from an apparent danger. If the defendant used more force than reasonably necessary, and if the force used is so greatly disproportionate to the apparent danger, then the defense of self-defense is not available. Greatly disproportionate. In deciding whether the force used was greatly disproportionate to the apparent danger, I must consider whether the force used shows revenge or a criminal purpose. In count 2 of and I will add that the defendant has alleged self-defense in all 3 counts, counts 1, 2, and 3, in the indictment. In count 2, the defendant must have caused the death of Tony Marie Westover as the proximate result of committing or attempting to commit felonious assault, also with a firearm specification. The state must prove the elements of felonious assault as to the murder contained in count 2 of the indictment, as well as all of the elements of felonious assault. Felonious assault, the defendant must have knowingly caused or attempt to cause serious physical harm to Tony Marie Westover by means of a deadly weapon, to wit, a firearm. A person acts knowingly, regardless of his purpose, when he is aware that his conduct will probably cause a certain result, or he is aware that his conduct will probably be of a certain nature. A person has knowledge of circumstances when he is aware that such circumstances probably exist. Knowingly means that a person is aware of the existence of facts, that his acts will probably cause a certain result or be of a certain nature. Since you cannot look into the mind of another, knowledge is determined from all the facts and circumstances in evidence. In addressing whether your actions were in self-defense, I find that the state, must find, or the state must prove that there was serious physical harm, which is any physical harm that carries a substantial risk of death. In count 5, because count 4 was dismissed prior to the trial beginning, the defendant must have knowing that an official proceeding or investigation was in process or was about to be or likely to be instituted, alter, destroy, conceal, or remove any record, document, or thing with purpose to impair its value or availability as evidence. For each of the charges contained in counts 1 through 3, there are also attendant firearm specifications. The state must prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant had a firearm on or about his person or under his control while committing those offenses and displayed the firearm, brandished the firearm, indicated that he possessed the firearm, or used it to facilitate the offense. Firearm means any deadly weapon capable of expelling or propelling one or more projectiles by the action of explosive or combustible propellant. Firearm includes an unloaded firearm and any firearm that is inoperable, but that can readily be rendered operable. When deciding whether a firearm is capable of expelling or propelling one or more projectiles by the action of an explosion or combustible propellant, I may rely on circumstantial evidence, including but not limited to the representations and actions of the defendant while exercising control over the firearm. As to the charge of improper handling of a firearm in a motor vehicle, in case 2206-2276, the defendant must have knowingly transported or had a loaded firearm in a motor vehicle in such a manner that it was accessible to the operator or any passenger without leaving the vehicle, and the accompanying forfeiture specification of the Riley Defense, Inc., R8K 47, serial number B11765. I've carefully considered all of the evidence and the exhibits admitted during trial. I've weighed the credibility of the testimony of all the witnesses, including the testimony of the defendant. It is my province to believe all, none, or some of the testimony of each witness, as well as the physical evidence.
And
that
we
has
know
been
some of the
presented
witnesses
in the
was
exhibits
liars.
admitted during
We
trial.
saw them lying.
I have considered the physical evidence and whether it corroborates the testimony of each witness in deciding which, if any, of their testimony I choose to believe. I find there is no credible evidence that Ms. Westover threatened or even tried to harm the defendant.
Oh, wow.
There was credible evidence that the defendant had hold of Ms. Westover either by, as to her upper torso, whether by her hair, neck, or shoulder. Ms. Westover was shot 3 times, and the most serious injury which caused her death was a gunshot wound to the back of her neck that was approximately 8 to 10 inches away and included evidence of stippling near the entrance wound, and the trajectory of that propellant was from back to front, right to left with a downward angle. While the defendant's testimony at times was believable, and there were portions of his testimony that he seemed genuinely convinced of the testimony he was presenting, I find a majority of that testimony was completely self-serving, illogical, and completely uncorroborated by the physical evidence and exhibits admitted during trial. In reviewing Exhibit G of the defense's exhibits, there was no credible evidence that you were injured or that your clothes were torn by Mr. Cruz, the machete-wielding aggressor. While you fled the scene, both Adam Wright and Brian Fielders had already both fled, and you still possessed the firearm. Furthermore, once you dropped from the porch, you leisurely strolled away with no signs of panic or fear that you testified you were feeling during the trial. Your statements to detectives the night you were arrested contained various inconsistencies, not to mention were completely inconsistent with your testimony during this trial. Lastly, your actions in fleeing that night with Miss Westover's purse and the firearm, and changing your appearance and hiding out in your cousin's house for over a month shows a consciousness of guilt. This court is left to weave together the offensive events of July 25th, 2022 from all the testimony, the physical evidence, and the exhibits admitted during trial. Based on everything presented at this trial, the more logical sequence of events is that for whatever reason, including being high on methamphetamine, not having slept for days due to that methamphetamine use, and the paranoia that comes with the use of methamphetamines, you shot and killed Tony Westover. And after shooting her, you were attacked by Brian Fielder, and when you had him down on the floor, he bit you while trying to get the gun away from you and from your grasp. According to Ashley Bratton, who testified 2 times, and including yesterday, Adam Wright was on his way out of the back bedroom with a firearm and returned, and upon finding you on top of Brian Fielder, hit you with the firearm and then fled. Everyone fled through that back bedroom because Tony Westover was left dead, hanging over the side of that couch, and was blocking the front door. Therefore, I'm left with only one conclusion. The state of Ohio has proved beyond a reasonable doubt that you committed the crime of improper handling of a firearm in a motor vehicle on June 5th, 2022. And furthermore, by clear and convincing evidence, I'm ordering forfeiture of the Riley Defense, Inc. RAK 47. As to all the charges in the indictment in case 2209-3102, I have considered each count uninfluenced by my verdict as to any other count, and I find that the state of Ohio has proved beyond a reasonable doubt that you did not act in self-defense on July 25th, 2022, and that you were at fault in creating the situation, giving rise to the shooting, or attempting to shoot Tony Marie Westover, and or that you used unreasonable force against Tony Westover. Therefore, I find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt of murder, an unclassified felony as contained in count 1, and the 3-year firearm specification 1 to count 1. I find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt of murder, an unclassified felony as contained in count 2, as well as the firearm specification 1 to count 2. I find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt of felonious assault, a felony of the 2nd degree, as contained in count 3 of the indictment, and the firearm specification 1 to count 3. And lastly, I find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt of tampering with evidence as a felony of the 3rd degree, as contained in count 5. The court having rendered its verdict, I am prepared to proceed to sentencing at this time, if both parties are prepared also.
She finna do
Before
sentencing and
hearing from the
everything.
parties, I do find pursuant to Ohio Revised Code 294125, State versus Johnson and State v. Ruff, that counts 1, 2, and 3 for merge for purposes of sentencing. I find that the defendant's conduct is of similar import and was committed with the same animus. pursuant to criminal or Ohio Revised Code 292914B1G. If an offender is convicted of or pleads guilty to 2 or more felonies, if 1 or more of those felonies are aggravated murder, murder, attempted aggravated murder, aggravated robbery, felonious assault, or rape, and if the offender is convicted of or pleads guilty to a specification of the type described under Division B1A of this section.
I wonder, but he gonna get life with no option of parole or something.
Shall impose on the offender the prison term specified under Division B1A of this section for each of the 2 most serious specifications of which the offender is convicted or to which the offender pleads guilty, and in its discretion also may impose on the offender the prison term specified under that division for any or all of the remaining specifications. Therefore, I find that specifications to count 1, 2, and 3 do not merge pursuant to 292914B1G.
Oh, he's gonna cry. Oh well, her family cried.
Perry,
Her
would you
daughter
like to
cried.
talk to Mr. Nixon about a PSI, or is he prepared to waive that right?
I would, Judge, just a second.
Sure.
Oh man, they didn't say the sentence.
If you want to point to lovers here and there,
they go Vinny, child. But yeah. So let me look it up. Let me Google and see how much time he got. Baby, so Quentin Nixon, no jury, no attorney. He made the choice. He fired his first lawyer. He made the choice to defend himself. Okay? He made the choice to have a trial, a bench trial, not a jury of his peers. He made those decisions. Okay? Let me see. Okay, so it say Quentin was guilty. Okay, we know that. Let me see how much time. Okay. It says Nixon was sentenced immediately following the verdict. He addressed the court. They didn't even show this. Saying, I'm not a monster. It didn't happen that way. They said it happened. Judge Croce, who called Nixon's testimony illogical, sentenced him to 21 years to life in prison. Oh, that's not bad. 21 years to life. Hold on. Amy Perry, Westover's sister, told Scripps News Cleveland that Westover and her boyfriend went to an Akron home where an altercation took place. Well, we already know that. Okay. So he got 21 to life, right? And with 21 to life, it don't say no opportunity for parole. So he can do 20 years. He can do, yeah, you can come out now when he can do 20 years and maybe come out. He can do 30 years and maybe come out. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, he definitely, let me see. He can appeal with counsel, I think. No, he can't. Yeah, thank you, Renee. Renee is exactly right. No, he cannot necessarily because he defended himself. Right. We Googled that. Yeah, he kind of got off easy. I would have thought he would have just got sentenced life. Life with no parole. You know, life is life. Right? When they get to talk about 21 years to life, that means he got an opportunity to hit the pavement again. Right? And guess what? Y'all see how he said and played this court game, right? So trust and believe, if he go up in there, he gonna already be trying to work his mojo and everything else to try to get parole and do all that type of stuff, right? So hey, there's that. Now I wanted to go ahead. It's only 9 o'clock where I'm at. So I wanted to get through, you guys. I wanted to show you guys and get through the cross-examination of Danny, okay, in the trial that we're currently watching, the highlights now of the state of Georgia versus Leilani Simon, who was found guilty of unaliving her baby boy, 20-month-old Quentin. Okay, let me pull this up. And y'all know that she got found guilty, and so now we were showing the highlights. The last thing we watched was the direct questioning of her boyfriend, and so I wanted us to watch the cross-examination. One moment, let me see. Let's see. Where is it at? Should be in my downloads. What the hell? Cross-examination. Okay. No, it wasn't smart of him, you know. But he got off, like Lady T say, 20. I can't believe he got 21 to life. Okay? That just took me all the way out. 21 to life, he can see the sun again. He can put his feet back on grass. If he go up in there and don't get in no trouble up in there, don't catch no more cases up in there. Okay, y'all. So now we finna get to, let me push pause. Now we come to, let me take this off. One moment, y'all. Bear with me. One moment. All right. This is the trial of the state of Georgia versus Leilani Simon. She has been found guilty of unaliving her baby on all counts, and for hiding the body and all of that stuff. But right now we're watching the highlight testimonies, and we're looking at the testimony of Danny, the boyfriend, who lived at the house with her. And at one point in time, she tried to actually lie and say he had something to do with the baby coming up missing. So he already did his direct line of questioning. This is the cross-examination of Danny Youngkin.
For 5 months in that part of the room.
Huh. There go Leilani. Boom. Do you think the judge told the prosecutors that they can better get their shit together with the time she gave them? Yes, but it's something to go. It's something to do with that. It was something to do with that evidence. I mean, I hate they didn't say it. But I bet you the prosecution office, they bosses told them they better get their shit together.
Picture 26 on Stacey.
What's up, Daquan?
Is that the front door of 555 Buckhalter? Yes, sir. And is this as you enter the door?
Okay, so this is the defense team cross-examining Danny from the start. I don't know why it's doing that. Why it's like skipping this recording. Yeah, she probably was in PC for sure. don't think the women do that as much as the men do, because a lot of women up there for children offenses. Oh, for real? Unless you decide not to be a PC. Hey, Jaya girl. Good to see you. Welcome to the Lit Lane Jury Box. Like a pug.
What's the drive?
Damn, has it been on mute the whole time?
Heavy traffic for the most part.
Or did I just do that? There you go.
25 minutes.
25 minutes?
They get to decide whether they want to be in PC or not.
Video of you running in.
They can decide not to be in PC and take their chances.
What were you running in for?
I was probably a few minutes late.
You're already 10 or 15 minutes late, though, weren't you?
I don't know, to be precise, whatever time this clock in was.
Yeah, I should be able to hear something now, though. Right?
Sure.
I had it on mute.
Now, you said that you and Miss Simon met in 2020, correct?
Somewhere along those lines.
And that was in Dunn, North Carolina?
In person, yeah.
Right. And that was where you were at, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And she traveled up there. Y'all lived together for a minute, correct?
Absolutely.
How old are you, Mr. Youngkin? And today?
Today, I'm 30.
How old you have been back then? 28? 27?
27, 26.
In 2020, you'd have been 26, correct?
Yeah.
In October of 2022, probably 28, 27, something like that?
Yeah.
All right. So, when did you move back to Savannah?
I moved to Savannah. I didn't move back to Savannah.
Well, when did you move to Savannah then?
4 or 5 months into her pregnancy.
All right. So when was Sky born? In what year? What month?
June 5th.
2022? Correct? All right. So it would have been, again, February, March of 2022 you moved down here maybe?
Sounds about right.
And you lived at 535 Buckhalter, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that was Billy and Thomas's house, right?
Yes, sir.
Did you pay any rent while you lived there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you paid it to Billy and Thomas?
Cash app it to Billy.
Okay. And
Billy Joe, that's the girl mama, Leilani mama, the baby grandmother.
When you first moved in, it was Joe that lived there, right?
Yes, sir. We lived upstairs.
Right. And it was you and Zane and Quentin and Leilani and Billy and Thomas and Joe, right?
Before Sky was born, yeah.
Right. And then Sky was born. And then if I just remember, Joe moved out and Paul moved in, correct?
Somewhere along, yeah.
So around the summer of 2022, that's an accurate picture.
Oh, okay,
of who was residing in the house, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Right, Tweety, until they circle the questions back around, though. But I have a thing. I'm confused. Pause. Let me pause. What's confusing to me is how they're saying this as though the grandmother and didn't have custody. So when you asking, well, who all was living in the house, and you making the point that you living in with your girlfriend, the reality was him and Leilani moved into that house while she was pregnant with his baby, but she didn't have custody of Quentin or the oldest boy. Her mama had custody. So it's very, to me, it's real misleading to ask those questions like that. And to me, it's very weird that the grandmother was leaving those babies, even how they was living with the babies in the same room with them, right? With Quentin and Zane living downstairs with them two. They didn't even have custody of the kid. And it seemed like nobody's talking about that. Let's continue. That's I just don't understand that. I don't get it.
Care of these kids and took the kids back and forth to the babysitter? So the most part it was you?
Yeah.
Okay. So on a daily basis, who was the one that would normally take them over to the babysitter?
Me.
All right. And how often would Lonnie do it?
Rarely.
All right. So, and who would pick him up in the afternoon?
Me.
All right.
If she worked, then both of us. If she worked.
Okay. And so it was not unusual that you were the one who took care of these children, correct?
Correct.
All right. And it's not uncommon that you were the one that interacted with the babysitter, correct?
Correct.
And now let's talk about how often would you drink?
Daily.
How often daily?
As I stated yesterday, about 5 shots of Fireball and 3 to 4 25-ounce beers.
Okay. And when did you normally drink? What was your routine?
Well, I couldn't leave work, so I'd go to work and I'd get off work and I'd stop by the liquor store in Port Wentworth on the way back to the house.
Okay. Did you ever stop by on the way to work?
No, they weren't open.
Did you ever drink before work?
They weren't open.
That's not the same question.
No, sir.
Okay. You can buy it ahead of time.
No, I drank to where there was nothing left.
So it's safe to say that your drinking habits were mostly after work and in the evenings.
Yeah.
Okay. And you, by your own admission, drank 4 or 5 Fireballs, and at least in this case, we knew a Curl and Natural Light. And then you said the 25-ounce, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And so now let's talk about the week leading up to October 5th. Were you and Leilani bickering or fighting that week?
Probably.
Okay. Let me ask a more refined question then. You said it was not unusual for her to go to Arkwright Road. Why is that?
For her to what?
You said it was not unusual for her to go to Arkwright Road. Why was that?
To where?
Arkwright Road. 204.
No, not unusual.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. After she had her wisdom teeth out on October 4th, did y'all go by 204 on the way home?
Possibly.
Possibly? Or
I don't remember.
You don't remember?
No.
All right. Well, do you recall saying that you did?
I probably did. I mean, I know I told you I went by the liquor store while she was at the dentist's office. So I had already drank at that point.
Well, what type of drinker are you? Are you a blackout drinker or a pass-out drinker?
Neither.
Okay. So you just said,
hey, Ashton, good to see you.
I was wondering
Thank
what
you.
the liquor store would have to do with affecting your memory.
I just don't have great memory. I used to do a lot of drugs.
All right. What kind of drugs did you used to do, Mr. Youngkin?
Cocaine and marijuana.
And let me ask this. In the weeks, days, and hours leading up to October 5th, were you doing cocaine, marijuana, and alcohol?
Not marijuana, but cocaine and alcohol, yes, sir.
And when were you doing cocaine and alcohol?
After work.
I would be.
Yeah.
Okay. So, matter of fact, if you didn't drink and drug, it would have been unusual. Correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Now, when you did drink and drug, where did you?
You don't like Charles Ashton?
In the house.
Where at in the house?
On a dresser that was next to the bed.
All right. So you would do it in the room where the kids were.
Unfortunately.
Okay. And not trying to pry or anything, just asking. So whenever you, and there's different ways to do it. You can smoke cocaine, sniff cocaine, shoot cocaine.
He said, look here, I wasn't smoking no goddamn crack.
So when you're doing that, wouldn't you
Addicts can't watch this?
Explain how you would normally do that. How would you sniff the cocaine? What was your routine?
It don't bother me as being in recovery. It don't bother me.
Would you buy it?
Yeah.
Or would you send Lonnie to buy it?
I would buy it, or she would go buy it. I don't get it.
Okay. And did you have a dresser? You said the dresser that you put it on was in the bedroom.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you leave it on the dresser? Would you put it on a plate? What would you do with it?
On the dresser, it would be in a bag, or sniff it out of the bag, or put a line on the dresser and sniff it off the dresser.
All right. So and that's kind of the point I'm getting to. It's either in the bag on the dresser and you sniff it from the bag.
The dresser is like this tall.
That's fine. I'm just asking. The point is it was out on the dresser in the bedroom where the children were. That's my point.
Sure.
Okay. Now, is cocaine more of a stimulant or more of a depressant? Does cocaine give you energy or does cocaine make you sleepy?
For me?
Yes.
Sleepy, honestly.
And that's a fair assessment.
That's because he didn't use so much of it.
Does alcohol make you sleepy or energize you?
I kind of just evened out.
So in your case, cocaine made you sleepy and alcohol would give you a little bit of energy and it kind of evened you out.
Sure.
Now, when you did cocaine, would you also drink?
Yes.
Okay. And how much would you drink at that point in time?
I think this is to show his character.
I don't have an exact measurement.
Okay. Did you smoke at the same time?
No, I didn't smoke. I didn't smoke marijuana. I was not.
Cigarettes?
Cigarettes?
Yes.
Not often.
But when you did cocaine and drank, would you smoke cigarettes?
Sure.
Okay. And when you smoke cigarettes, would you smoke the cigarettes in the house or outside the house?
Oh, yeah.
And why was that?
So the house didn't smell like cigarettes?
And it wasn't your house, was it?
No, it wasn't.
Okay. And I'm going to assume, and again, I don't think you had permission to smoke.
Don't forget this cross-examination by the defense.
No, sir.
And I'm fairly certain you didn't have permission to do cocaine in the house either, did you?
No, sir.
Okay. Now, so you're not sure if you went to 204 after she had her wisdom teeth out. Y'all came home.
He's like, damn.
On the way home, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Got something to eat, came home, and she took her medicine and knocked herself out, right?
Sure. I'm not 100% sure. I honestly can't say for certain.
At this point, he just saying sure to everything.
My recollection of it.
All right. Well, let me ask you this. Y'all lived in this room, right?
For the most part.
Okay. It's an open room, correct?
Yeah.
The bed's in that room, correct?
Yes, sir.
The entertainment for the children is in that room, correct?
Yes, sir.
The place the children sleep is in that room, correct?
Yes, sir.
if you were interacting with the children, laying down, watching TV, or doing any of these things in your room, and she was sleeping, you would notice it, correct?
More than likely, yeah. I mean, as I said yesterday, we were at a point to where I didn't really pay much attention to what she was doing.
Okay. Well, do you recall telling the police that she went to sleep that afternoon?
Yeah, I mean...
Any reason why you'd make that up?
No.
Okay.
Baby,
So,
this defense
what
attorney
time
did not be playing. I would hire him.
Did she wake up that afternoon?
I don't remember.
All right. How did the kids get back from Michelle's that afternoon?
No, Ashton, he didn't.
Went to pick them up
The girlfriend did.
and what
And that was
time
her
was that?
baby, not his baby.
around 4:30 or 5.
Which is a normal time, right?
I guess.
He didn't do anything to the
A
baby.
couple hours later, because we normally get off at like 2 or 3.
All right. So 5 o'clock, Quentin's fine, Zane's fine, and Sky's fine, correct?
Yes, sir.
At 6 o'clock on the evening of October 4th, Quentin's fine, Zane's fine, and Sky's fine, correct?
Yes, sir.
What are you and Lonnie doing at that point in time?
I don't remember.
Okay. 7 o'clock, are the children fine?
Yes, to my knowledge.
What are you and Lonnie doing at 7 o'clock?
I can't say for certain.
8 o'clock, are the children fine?
Yeah, to my knowledge. Absolutely.
What are you and Lonnie doing at 8 o'clock?
I can't be 100% certain. I was probably making dinner.
Okay. And 10 o'clock. The kids are laying down for bed, going to sleep at this point in time, correct?
Yeah.
Zane's in his bed, correct?
Yes, sir.
Did you actually lay eyes on him?
I mean, he's visible.
Okay. Quentin's in his bed. Did you actually lay eyes on him?
He's not as visible, but yes.
Okay. And Sky's in her, I guess it's like crib or whatever it is, next to the couch, right? And you actually laid eyes on her as well, correct?
Yeah, she was at the end of the bed.
So at 10 o'clock, kids are fine. You're there. Are you drinking or drugging at this point in time?
10 o'clock?
Yes.
No.
All right. And so at 10 o'clock, was there any conversation about going to 204 that night between you and the line?
Don't forget 204 stand for the drug dealer. That's their code word for the dope dealer. 204.
She said she was going to go to 204 and come back. I said, okay, can you make it quick? I'd like to watch a movie and go to sleep so we can go to work.
All right. And that's basically what your text message said.
Yeah.
Come on back. See you soon.
Please.
Let's watch a movie, right?
Please. Yes.
So there was no, at least I'm not putting your words in my mouth. From the text messages, there didn't seem to be any animosity between y'all at that point in time, correct?
For the most part.
Yeah. You're just looking forward to laying down, watching a movie together, right?
For the most part.
Okay. And again, were you drinking or doing any drugs that night?
That night?
Yes.
You said 10 o'clock.
Oh. That's
and
nighttime.
That night, after this, anytime that night.
Prior to 10 o'clock? Yeah, prior to when I laid down, yes.
Okay, what were you doing prior to 10 o'clock?
Drinking and the rest of the little bit of cocaine I had.
So you were drinking and doing cocaine up to 10 o'clock. And is that why you sent her to 204 to get some more?
I didn't send her to 10 to 204. She was the one who said she wanted to go to 204. That's in the text messages.
Okay. So let me ask you this. Who would normally get the drugs, you or her?
That were her people.
All right. And would y'all share drugs or
Yes.
would you keep it separate?
Share it for the most part.
All right. So if you got some cocaine or some weed or some
I didn't get weed.
Percocets.
I didn't get Percocet.
All right. But if you got cocaine, you'd share.
She was using everything.
If she got it, she'd share.
No.
Yeah, this is the trial we've been
No.
watching. The second trial. Yeah.
Okay. So you would share drugs, but she wouldn't.
Yeah.
Right. Did that cause any anger or animosity between you?
No, not really.
Okay.
Not for me.
So, Miss Steph 219 say, I wonder why Quentin No other children, shaking my head, right? And to answer your question, Ashton, yeah, this is the trial we've been watching for the last couple of weeks. Miss Steph 219, tomorrow night, I'm going to show you guys, we're going to watch the 2 babysitters and the brother testimony, okay? And I do believe the 2 babysitters, somewhere up in that testimony, you're going to hear what they say about how she treated Quinton. Okay, and remember from the opening statements, the prosecutor had made mention that she treated Quinton. Well, the prosecutor had mentioned in the opening statement about how she considered her first baby, her oldest boy Zane, the 3-year-old at the time. She called him her ride or die, and he had always been with her. Quinton, she had just met his daddy, and that was a tumultuous relationship, and they broke up fast, right? And then when she got pregnant with the little girl, that's this dude right here, baby. You know what I'm saying? So you know how that story goes sometimes, girl. Unfortunately for some of these women, you know how that story go. You know, if they don't like the daddy, I don't know, but we gonna definitely see. We gonna hear about that tomorrow, about her treatment of Quinton in particular, from the babysitters.
Really? Okay. So whenever do you remember speaking with the police on October 5th? I believe it was an FBI agent and a detective from Chatham County Police Department.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember when they took you down to the station and interviewed you?
For a very long period of time.
And anytime that night?
Prior to 10 o'clock, yeah. Prior to when I laid down, yes.
Okay, what were you doing prior to 10 o'clock?
Drinking and the rest of the little bit of cocaine I had.
So you were drinking and doing cocaine up to 10 o'clock. And is that why you sent her to 204 to get some more?
I didn't send her to 204. She was the one who said she wanted to go to 204. That's in the text messages.
Okay. So let me ask you this. Who would normally get the drugs, you or her?
That were her people.
All right. And would y'all share drugs, or would you keep it separate?
Share it for the most part.
All right. So if you got some cocaine or some weed or some
I didn't
Percocets,
get weed. I didn't get Percocet.
All right. But if you got cocaine, you'd share.
Yeah.
And if she got it, she'd share.
No.
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 Now she's selfish.
Okay. So you would share drugs, but she wouldn't.
Yeah.
Right. Did that cause any anger or animosity between you?
No, not really.
Yeah, right.
Not really.
He lied.
Really? Okay.
Now y'all know that's a lie.
So whenever do you remember speaking with the police on October 5th? I believe it was an FBI agent and a detective from Chatham County Police Department.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember when they took you down to the station and interviewed you?
For a very long period of time.
Right. And do you remember that conversation with him?
There were quite a few.
Let's just start at the beginning then. Do you remember telling them there's nothing weird about her going to Arkwright Drive?
Yeah, sure. I mean, there's not anything weird about it.
And when Leilani got back from 204, were you awake or asleep?
I was asleep.
You remember telling them that you were awake when she got back?
No. I don't remember, to be 100% honest. I really don't.
All right. And do you remember telling them you got up at 3 to take care of Sky?
It's possible that I did.
Okay. And do you remember saying that everything was fine at that point in time?
Possibly.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Whenever you would come and go from the house, did you come through the front door, or did you always drive around back and come in through the dining room or living room doors?
Never through the front door.
And that's because the parking's in the back, right?
Yes.
Okay. And it would not be unusual or uncommon that those doors are the ones that get all the movement, are they?
No, not uncommon.
Okay. And whose responsibility was it to lock those doors or secure those doors at night?
Everybody's? Whoever came in last.
Okay. But would it surprise you if those doors opened and closed a lot?
It's buffered on my end too, y'all.
And do you remember going out, and again, you said you didn't smoke often, but would you go out on the patio to smoke when you did smoke?
The front or the back? I
got a playlist, Ashton.
Okay. But you would?
Sure.
Okay. Now, do you remember just a few minutes?
Good night, Nancy. Thank you for joining.
Chatham County police officer, you got a little angry.
Have a good night.
Possibly.
Remember saying it feels weird, I'm having a bad day, and...
No.
Okay. Well, it's been a long day, so... Do you remember telling them that you were a little antsy and you need a drink?
Probably.
Okay. Now, do you remember telling them that when you woke up at 3 a.m. that Lonnie was asleep?
No. Well, if I did, then that's probably something she told me to say.
Okay. And remember telling me Quentin was okay at 3 o'clock?
Probably based on what she told me to say.
Mr. Youngkin, are you sitting here saying what you've been told to say?
Right now, no.
Okay. So you have free will, correct?
I don't think Absolutely. I saw none of this.
All right. Now, let's talk about that first day as well. Was that the day
he
that you
built so funny.
authorized the FBI to tap your phone for 90 days? 30 days at a time, I guess I should say.
What day? The date started on, I think it was the 8th. I think it was 10/8/2022.
October. All right, well, I asked that question. Let's just go back. That day, October 5th, did y'all go back to Buckhalter Road that day?
That's the day the baby was reported missing.
It was like 2 or 3 a.m.
Okay, so it was October 6th.
Yeah.
Okay. And when was it y'all went to the hotel?
The 7th?
Maybe? Hey, Livin.
No, 100%.
That's when he did the recording for the FBI, remember?
Have the video done, the audio done.
That's the next day.
Give them your phone. Damn. Correct?
The phone happened later, but yes, I did.
Okay.
Wow.
And you say the phone happened later. They didn't dump it that day, October 5th?
What do you mean? Permission? I thought you were talking about the 30 days at a time.
No. I'm talking about just actually giving them your phone.
Yeah, on the 5th, absolutely.
Right, because I remember you asked on the 5th to get your phone back, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow, he literally started working with the FBI the next fucking day. You know what I'm saying? She reported the baby missing on the 5th. They got back into the house early, 2, 3 in the middle of the night that next morning, the 6th. They was at that hotel on the 7th, and he had already agreed to work with the FBI. He never did believe her, because he knew that she had medicine at that damn house. Don't get you into this, girl. It's a mess. It's a mess. The next trial won't be with no kids.
Yeah, I did.
So,
and I got it back.
Give us a break from the children.
Now, did you notice anything about Quentin's crib the evening of October 4th?
No.
Early morning hours of October 5th?
I think it say something more about her that he worked with the FBI so quick than him.
I wasn't really looking at that point, but no.
You think he knew?
Okay. And I wonder if I could approach the witness.
Oh, you think that's why he started working with him so fast, Ashton? Because he knew that she had did something? But what you mean? Like he knew and he didn't want no parts of that, or he knew and he didn't want no parts of that? You know what I'm saying? think he cared about the kids. He was the one taking care of the kids and feeding them and bathing them. She wasn't. She was up and down the street getting out.
If you would look through that real quick. Don't say what it is, just look through it. It depends.
Okay. Okay.
Do you recognize any of these messages?
Yeah.
Okay. And what are these messages?
Text messages between me and Leilani.
Okay. And if you would turn to, I guess, the very back one. Let's start in the back and kind of work forward. You see the one from September 30th at 8:04?
Yes.
Okay. This is about 5 days prior to Quinton's disappearance, is it not?
Yeah.
And it's from who to who?
From me to her.
All right. And if you would, what did you say to her that particular day?
Like, I'm always supposed to deal with your asshole moves and the mean ass kids when you get mad and dip and take shit from me.
Oh Lord, he called the kids some mean ass kids.
What are you talking about here, Mr. Youngkin?
Money, drugs.
And which mean ass kids are you referring to?
Not mean ass kids.
All three.
Well, Sky's an infant, so
yeah,
I'm
she was
certain.
being mean that day.
How can an infant be mean, Mr. Youngkin?
She wasn't being mean. She was just crying a lot.
Okay. So how would Quinton or Zane be mean? They're children.
Zane was a handful.
How's that?
Because he was always high energy and high strung and didn't want to go to sleep when we would say that. And I would be the one that would always deal with him.
Okay. All right, let's look at the next one. It looks like this one's just a few minutes later. September 30th at 8:47.
Yeah, I said, I'm such an idiot. I see it.
No, you said a little bit more than that.
I am such a ducking idiot. I see it.
And you meant to say something else, but
yeah. Well, autocorrect.
All right, let's go on to the next one on September 30th at 8:46.
Yes.
That's from you to who?
These aren't in order.
No, they're not. Admittedly.
I said, still at 2:04. WTF taking so long?
What's that referring to?
Why was she still gone?
Well, what would she go to 2:04 for?
For herself, probably.
So.
Or us, both.
The drugs.
Right. Drugs, maybe?
Yeah, absolutely. That would be the only, to my knowledge.
And so you were a little irritated because she wasn't back with the drugs, weren't you, Mr. Youngkin?
I was just, no, it wasn't because she wasn't back with the drugs. She wasn't back.
Okay. All right, well, let's go on to the next one, if you would. September 30th at 9.
But what's the point of character assassinating him?
I wonder why I'm just trying to drink, do drugs, and sleep.
And this was September 30th at 9 p.m.
Well, they just say she's not guilty. So I guess they try to imply somebody else could have done it. Maybe.
So, did that pretty much sum up what you were looking to do at that point in time in your life?
Yeah.
I'm going to ask it's not a flippant question, but at this point in time, you're a grown man, 28 years old.
Sure.
Just leave.
Just leave my daughter?
Mm-hmm.
No. No, sir.
All right. So you understand it's an option, though?
Not in my eyes.
So, but you would rather stay, drink, do drugs, and sleep?
I'd rather be there for my daughter.
Well, I understand. Let me ask you this. When you're drinking, doing drugs, and sleeping, how are you there for your daughter?
Not as well as I should have been.
Well, not at all, really, are you?
That's an opinion.
Is that your opinion?
That I could have done better, yes.
Well, that's honest.
Well, that's all the ones for September 30th. Let's look on October 1st. This is 4 days prior. At 12:26 a.m. From.
Are you asking me to read all these?
Well, I'm asking you who's this from and who's it to?
What time?
The 12:26.
It's from her to me.
And what does it say?
You almost had your whole bag and some of both of the bags that
Right, which I had to think about that for a second.
What bags is she referring to?
Cocaine, which was inaccurate.
So you went through both bags as well.
That's inaccurate.
It may be inaccurate, but that's what the text message says, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, it says you went through both bags of cocaine.
According to her.
Right. Well,
see, fighting about the dope.
The next one that you sent back to her.
No bag, no love, no niceness.
Right. So basically, your mood was contingent upon the drugs that you had, correct?
Right, Miss Stephanie. Right, Winter.
No love, no niceness.
Let's go to 10/1/2022, 12:27 a.m. Who to who?
Her to me.
And what was this referencing?
Then expected. That's not in order. It says, and then expected me to come inside while you talk shit and share when you had a G yesterday.
What's a G?
A gram.
A gram. See, I told y'all they were fighting behind that dope. Trust that.
Gram to yourself.
Which is not true.
Okay. Look at the next text message from October 1st, 1:34, from you to Lilani.
Yeah. Can't come in and lay down at 2 a.m. Just go out and fuck around and don't ask me or tell me shit. Me referring to her leaving in the middle of the night and not saying anything.
Okay. You were upset, needless to say.
Well, yeah. At the time. Then I gave up.
So did it upset you whenever you noticed that she wasn't there in the middle of the night?
Occasionally. Most of the time I just accredited it to do her doing whatever she wanted to do.
Let's look at the next one on 10/1 at 1:34. It looks like from Lilani to you.
You can go out and do what you want tomorrow night. And you said you wish you knew. Well, now you know.
And that's basically saying you can go do what you want tomorrow night. Right?
From her, yeah.
Right.
I would do that.
Well, whether you did it or not.
I guess that's her giving me permission to leave the next night.
Did you leave the next night?
Nope.
Right. And what was your reply back?
You know damn well I can't do shit.
And why is that?
Because I'm the one that takes care of the children.
Boom.
And
look at her.
Look
at her.
One from October 1st at 1:40.
Like I said, it's not in order, but yeah.
Mind you, when they were showing the baby clothes, right? When they showed a piece of the baby's skull, right? When they showed the dumpster, when they showed the people going through looking for the baby body, she wasn't doing all this expressiveness. She wasn't doing all this emotion. She wasn't doing all this. She wasn't even, this is the most alert she done been. Right? And the most alert and the most emotion she's showing right now is doing the damn dope talk. Girl, boo. Girl, boo. That's just how I feel. Like, girl.
So, to Lilani from you.
Yep.
And what does it say?
That it'll be 3 a.m. before I see you, and no beer.
3 a.m. drinking beer?
Yeah.
Was that unusual or uncommon?
Depending on the day. If I didn't have to work the next day, probably not.
And this is later.
Do you want me to read this one?
October 1st at 2:19. Yes, sir.
But want me to be all over you when you run off at night like this and lie and don't respond.
And that has to do with withholding sexual attention, correct?
Yeah, because she's been up and down the street.
What do you mean?
He don't know what she's doing.
Well, you tell me. I'm assuming that's what you mean. You want me to be all over you when you run off at night like this. What does that mean?
Anything intimate.
Right. So
anything intimate, not just sexual, anything.
So that was withholding affection, correct? That's what you're threatening there.
That's what I'm threatening? I wasn't threatening.
Okay.
That was me saying she wants that, but how am I supposed to do that when she does this?
Okay. Let's look at the next one from October 2nd. You may remember this, you may not remember this.
This lawyer is really trying it.
All right. And you see the picture there?
Vaguely.
All right. We'll go to the next one then. See if that helps.
I guess it's a haircut.
Were y'all talking about getting Quinton's haircut?
It wasn't my choice. I think.
Well, that's what at least Lilani was. That's from her to you, correct?
Yeah, I guess she was thinking about getting Quinton's haircut.
And that was on October 2nd, correct?
Uh-huh.
All right, let's look at October 2nd, that evening at 8:43.
Yes, sir. Sorry, my fault. I'm so sorry.
October 2nd at 8:43. That was from you to Lilani, correct?
Yep. Should have gotten Zane to chill or left me something before you tell me to fucking chill.
Left you what?
Some drugs.
Okay. And what was Zane doing that night?
Being high energy.
Wouldn't listen. Basically being a kid.
If that's how you want to put it, yes, sir.
All right. And October 2nd at 8:56, you sent another text message to Lilani?
I want to know why I don't understand the context. I want to know why I wish I did, because I didn't get any when I even begged. I don't know.
Maybe. You don't understand. You don't know what that's about.
No, I don't know the context.
All right. Look at the next one then and see if that.
At this point in time, they sick of each other. Sunshine.
I want to tell me why it looks like you touched my bag from her to me.
Okay.
Child.
And
also incorrect.
So but put it in context, that may have been about drugs, correct?
Could have been, possibly.
All right.
Oh, it was definitely about drugs. Okay, baby, let me tell you something. All this bickering back and forth about drugs, oh my God, they a mess. Okay, they a mess. They two addicts together and steady fighting because one don't trust the other one don't trust the other one. Who getting more, who getting less, why you keep leaving it? And then he play a part in that shit, sending her to go get the dope sometime. You know what I'm saying? And even if it sounded like he didn't trust her when she was going to the dope man house, because guess what? You know, even though he's saying that stuff in a text message about you leaving in the middle of the night, blah, 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 and how I'm going to be on you and stuff like that, and I don't know what you're doing. Yeah, okay. But at some point in time, he might have got an idea or had some kind of a thought in his mind that she was messing around with the dope dealer. You know what I'm saying? If she getting up in the middle of the night and she the one going on her dope runs, she know good and damn well she come back with more drugs than her. I mean, she come back with more drugs than when he do the run. That's why he'll go ahead and let her go, cause she come back with the hookup. You know what I'm saying? It's the same story all the way around. You know, and now that he look at it, you know, he got to feel like a damn fool. You know, he didn't just stay just for his baby's sake. He ain't no angel now. You know what I'm saying? But she's far from it too. Right now, they look both horrible.
And let's go to October 3rd. This is the evening of October 3rd. I think this is the day before the wisdom tooth, if I'm not mistaken. This is 11:34 p.m. and it's from Lilani to you. And what does she say to you?
This is backwards, so it's kind of hard to get everything in context. And some of it's not even in order.
Well, that's fine. You can put it in order, but
I don't have time. It says, so I've kind of been waiting for you at the same time, which is why I asked what you were doing. I do not know what that's referring to.
All right, well, that's fine. Let's go to the next one then. It's just an okay, right?
Yep. Just me saying okay.
And what's the next one?
Her saying, oh, I guess she was outside, sitting on the front porch.
All right.
I thought you said you was going to hit that line and come smoke the city.
If I hit that line, what does she mean by that?
What she had left on the dresser for me.
For you to do?
Yep.
And by do, I mean cocaine, correct?
Drugs, absolutely.
And this was about 11:30 at night, give or take?
11:33, 47.
And let's look at the next one from her to you.
11:33, 32.
Yeah.
Just put out my blunt and lit a cig.
All right. And the next one, 11. This one's kind of out of order.
I said, are you coming? As in, are you coming to bed?
Yeah.
At 11:32, 19.
Right. And let's go on to October 4th, which we kind of have a little bit about this already. There's one from October 4th at 10:41.
10:41:37. She said, I'm about to turn on 204.
And the next one?
I said at 10:44:24. Thank you for the.
Now, this is the night before the baby came up missing, October 4th. She reported the baby missing at 9:30 the 5th.
Drugs.
Yep.
All right. So at least at that point in time, on the night of October 4th, you were at home with the children under the influence while she's out getting more drugs, correct?
Yes.
Okay. At any point, did you ever tell them this?
Yes.
When?
The interview?
Okay.
Initial interview?
All right. Well, let's go
ahead. It was
and...
a very long period of time, so I'm pretty sure I told them everything I knew.
All right.
Hell, he was working with the FBI by the 7th.
You were doing cocaine at least at 11 o'clock at night on October 4th. And
10:45.
10:45. 10:45.
And I probably did that and then fell asleep.
Because cocaine makes you sleepy.
As we've stated.
Okay. And you were drinking as well.
Probably the last year I had left.
Okay. But when you went to sleep, Quentin was fine, Zane was fine, and Scott was fine, correct?
Yes, sir. At around 10:45, 11 o'clock.
So, do you know what time Lilani got back that night?
Nope.
Okay. Do you remember telling the police that you were awake when she got in?
Probably initially.
Okay. But you changed your story, didn't you?
Possibly. I don't know.
Okay. Well, if
I did it based on memory and what I was recalling at the time.
Well, if you say A is true and it turns out that B is true, they both can't be true, can they?
Depending.
Well, either you saw her and you were awake, or you were asleep when she got in.
Yeah, very true.
Right. Now, you got up at 3 a.m. to feed Sky, like you always did, you said.
Probably initially, that's probably what I said.
And you told them Quentin was fine, Zane was fine, and Sky was fine, correct?
Initially, I believe so.
Okay. And you also said you, of your own accord, called the babysitter and said the kids were staying home.
I texted her at 5:20 and said the kids will be with her.
Excuse me, texted and said the kids were going to stay home with Alani, right?
Yes.
Did you discuss this with Alani?
She wouldn't wake up. But that was something that I had done in the past, because if she wasn't going to get up and go to work and I was going to go to work, and why am I paying for the babysitter?
So for you, you were a little bit angry she wouldn't wake up and go to work, right?
No, not really. I was just going to get my job done.
Mr. Young, can I have a few?
I may sound irritated at the moment, but no.
All right. Now let's talk about Azalea Mobile Home Park.
Okay.
Buckhalter Road, you have 3 different trash cans out there, right?
Yes. Now this is so weird.
And you're the one that collects those trash cans and takes them to the Azalea Mobile Home Park to dump. But that was your testimony to Mr. Dean?
Yeah, for the most part I was, until Paul got there, and Paul was the one that had the keys to the truck, so Paul liked to take the trash out.
Paul is the brother. We're going to hear from him.
Trash collection out there?
We didn't, at that residence, I don't know. That wasn't my house.
Well, it just seems a very odd thing that...
That's what I was told to do.
Okay. Well, who told you to do that?
I don't remember exactly, but that's just one of the things that happened. I don't understand.
Okay. So Paul, either you or Paul are the ones that took the trash off there.
Yes.
Okay.
In the Silverado.
Right.
Never in the Dodge Journey.
You're absolutely correct. In the Silverado.
She be worried about the wrong thing. You know, oh, she irritated.
I don't believe they paid for that service. I think it's something you have to pay for. I'm not 100% sure.
Do you know what the service is offered?
No, I don't.
Okay. Well, have you ever seen garbage trucks up and down the road?
It wasn't my house.
If you don't. Yeah, it's okay if you don't, but I mean...
No, it wasn't my house.
Okay. You didn't pay attention to it, is what you're saying?
No, I just did what I was instructed.
Oh. Now, but you did agree to have the hotel room wired for 3 days, correct?
Yeah. And my cell phone.
When did you leave Savannah after this?
I believe it was the day that I signed the paper for my cell phone to be tapped.
You left Savannah that day?
I believe so.
Okay. And that's when you moved away from Savannah?
I went and stayed in Atlanta for a weekend, and then I moved back with my parents.
So whatever day is on that particular item, that was the day you left Savannah?
I believe so. If not, it was the next day.
Do you have custody of Sky?
No, I wasn't even legitimized.
Do you have...
And I was threatened multiple times that my daughter would be taken away from me by Leilani.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. Do you have custody of Sky now?
No, I don't.
Who does?
Objection, Your Honor.
What's
What is
wrong?
the relevance?
Damn, I want to know who got the baby.
That's all the question I got.
In just a moment, Mr. Dean may have some further questions for you.
Sorry. I do have some redirect, Your Honor, but I do agree.
Okay.
So I suspect that would be...
I'm sorry.
Yeah, good time to take a break.
Yeah. So the rest of this video, okay, with his testimony and what have you, let me see. Yeah, it's like another hour, right? And so tomorrow night I'm gonna come in and same time, probably a little bit earlier. I'm gonna try to come like an hour earlier, right? So we can finish his testimony and then get to the babysitters. That's the plan for tomorrow. Finish his testimony, get to the 2 babysitters tomorrow night. So I'm gonna do my best to come at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time for the trial watch to do the testimony, okay? So we finished Quinton Nixon. He was found guilty on all counts. 21 years to life. And so now Leilani found guilty and we're doing the highlighted testimonies. We're going to do the boyfriend, the 2 babysitters, and the brother. Okay? So by the end of this week, we're going to have all the highlighted testimonies and wrap up this trial. Okay? And then I'm going to present to y'all a couple of other trials and see which one y'all want to vote and do. Okay? All right. So thank y'all. What Miss Steph 219 say, okay, sound like a plan. Yeah, that's the plan, okay? And I know already I don't have nothing going on tomorrow, shit on the schedule anyway. So everything should be okay and legit. So I'm going to say good night, you guys. I'm going to give me some rest, take my cold medicine so I can be on point, focused, and clear tomorrow, okay? Y'all have a wonderful, blessed night. Make sure they have the